I'm the Bunnyman,
And I'm Crazy Susie.
and we are in the Eyes of Terror. And April Fools, we didn't upload on April Fools. Gotcha. And we have decided to change our format. We're now going to just review Lifetime movies.
April Fools. That's never gonna happen.
Alright.
Kudos to those who choose to do so, but we're not that kind of people.
Alright, so our movie for tonight is April Fools, 1986.
It is a horror mystery. It's 1 hour and 29 minutes long, and it's rated R.
Ooh.
You know, back in the 80s, they had to rate things as such because, you know, our rating system is a lot different than it was back then.
So I guess we'll start off with, what are we drinking? So what are you drinking, Crazy Susie?
I am just having Dr. Pepper. I have to go pick up our teenager here in a little bit, so I have to be careful about what vivations I'm having at the moment.
And I am drinking a Samuel Smith's Organic Chocolate Stout out of Yorkshire, England. I've actually been there. It's a very nice area. It's in the country. It's a very dark stout. Dark as my soul.
It's quite rich and
Creamy.
chocolatey.
It's creamy. It is very good.
I think it's one of the... I only tasted it. I haven't had much. I think it's one of the best chocolate porters that we have sampled. I'm sorry, stouts. It's a stout, not a porter. One of the best chocolate stouts that we have tried.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. I would definitely recommend.
It's basically... It's better than Guinness, in my opinion. But it has that creaminess that Guinness has.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the bread heaviness of it. And it has a very nice... dark...
It's still heavy. It's just not quite as heavy as Guinness.
Well, you know, like Guinness is basically bread in a bottle. So, and this has a nice dark chocolate flavor to it, and it's just really smooth and creamy, and it has very little head. I'm not a big head fan on my beer, so. And this comes in a 1 pint bottle, and we found it at a place called Earth Fair.
Yep.
So if you happen to go by there, check it out.
I'm sure Whole Foods carries it.
Yeah, it's worth a buy. Although you said it was a little bit more on the expensive side.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pint was around $4. I think.
But I mean, you got to think about import and all that stuff.
Right. So you expect it's a specialty item.
Well, there's that, and it's more of a. It's not like you go out and buy a 6-pack and go to your buddy's barbecue and drink it. It's more of a sit at home, watch a movie, maybe an after dinner libation.
Right. It's not something you have every weekend.
No.
It's a once in a blue moon. It's a specialty thing. So, but I really wanted to try it. I'm very much, if it has chocolate in it, I want to try it.
Well, you are a woman. At least it's not minty.
So, yeah. And you love dark beers, so.
Yes.
And it's chocolate and it's dark.
Well, and it's cool enough right now for me to drink this because we bought it a while ago. I've been waiting on cracking it open. And it's been really, really hot down here. And then it just started raining again. And it got really cool.
Yeah.
So
we had chili for dinner, and we're having a chocolate
stout.
So I want to say porter, and I'm like, that's not right.
All right. So let's get it back into the movie. April Fools.
All right, April Fools. The director is Fred Walton, and the writer is Danilo Bosch. I believe that's correct. The cast are Jay Baker plays Harvey. Pat Barlow plays Clara. Lloyd Berry plays the ferryman. Deborah Foreman plays Muffy and Buffy. Deborah Goodrich plays Nikki. Tom Heaton plays Constable Porter and Uncle Frank. Leah Pinsent plays Nan. Hopefully you heard what I said. Nan, N-A-N. Mike Noman plays Buck. Ken Olandad plays Rob. Griffin O'Neill plays Skip. Clinton Rohaner plays Chaz. Amy Steele plays Kit. Thomas F. Wilson plays Arch. And that's all the main cast. What about their budget?
What is their budget?
You tell me.
I'm really bad with numbers, so it's 5 and a lot of zeros.
5 and a lot of zeros. Well, okay, so the budget is $5 million. Opening weekend, they earned $3,373,779.
$3,373,779.
Okay. And it generally grossed in the U.S. over $12 million.
Yeah, $12,947,763.
So it didn't do too bad.
Mm-mm.
If you consider that that was in the mid-'80s.
Well, the economy was doing pretty good, but, at that time, so.
B-rated movie in the mid-'80s.
Yep.
That's not too bad. Not too bad at all.
All right. So, we shall begin about what the movie's about, right?
All right. So the film starts with a group of college-age adults. And they're basically on a bridge going to a barge.
No, they're waiting for a ferry. That's a ferry.
A ferry.
To go to their friend's house. His name is Muffy.
Muffy. And one of them has a camera. And he's going around and he's asking each of them, how do you know Muffy?
And they're all college-age kids. So, they're about all college age.
Yeah.
Biff's there,
Early 20s, In the next scene is at the house where Muffy's at. She's clearing some things from the basement. The housekeeper comes down and asks her if she's sure that she doesn't want her to stay to help her. And she says, yes, it'll be fine. She wants her to go. She'll get everything taken care of. She wants to prove to her father that she can handle things on her own. So the housekeeper, Clara, says, okay. Because once she leaves, the ferry doesn't come back until the end of the weekend. So, she's going to be on her own, basically. So this is her last chance to...
Get out!
her last chance to change her mind. So she tells Clara, no, I'm going to be okay. I want to prove to my father that I can do this. Take care of the house and do everything on my own.
And then she's pilling around in the basement. And she comes across the Jack-in-the-Box. She's like playing around with it and turning it and...
We've not gotten that far yet.
Yes, it's in the same scene. Fine, whatever.
It does, but it kind of bounces back and forth. It's not gotten to that part yet.
Oh, okay.
You like to skip ahead. I know. Can't help yourself. So Rob and Hal, Hal, he says, "My name is Howard, but you can call me Hal." He's a country boy, so I can pretty much mimic his accent.
Yeah.
It's the same as mine.
Although his is a bit of like the more high fluting one.
I think he's from Georgia.
Yep.
Rob and Hal just about miss the ferry. On the ferry ride, Nikki gets more comfortable
She takes her pants off.
and strips down to her bathing suit. She takes her top off and her pants off. Who knew she had a suit on under all that?
Yeah. Too much disappointment of everybody else.
Hal, everyone calls him Harv, comes over to stare at her and talk about how Muffy
Murphy.
is her real name, which is funny. Then they proceed to talk about all the nicknames you could think of with Muffy.
Murphy.
All the nicknames that arise from Muffy, like
Murphy.
Muffster, Muff Dive, as he's staring at Nikki, who's basically half naked because all she has on is a bathing suit.
Yeah.
I'm like, could you be any more desperate, dude? Really?
Yeah. You can sort of smell the desperation through the movie.
It's pretty bad. And they just keep on talking about all these nicknames that you could get from Muffy, and I'm like, you need to stop. The dude keeps a straight face through it, too. That's what I'm so surprised. Anyway, Skip and Arch, which are the two jokesters in the whole film, they decide to play a game of chicken. So they start tossing back. They toss a knife.
A switchblade to be exact.
Switchblade, yep.
They're tossing it back and forth and like a bunch of bloody morons.
They toss it at each other. And Arch throws it at Skip, throws it into his stomach. Skip falls into the lake. Well, some of the others jump in to save him, including
Murphy.
no, the ferryman's,
The
what do you call him?
hand. The ferryman's second in command.
Work hand, yeah.
Yeah.
The ferryman's, the guy that's working with the ferryman, he jumps in too. So the others jump in to save him. And then everyone realizes it's just a big freaking joke. And they're enraged. Well, the ferryman's work hand jumps in the water also. They get to shore. So he says he's just going to stay in the water to hook up the line to the ferry. When the ferry gets close to the dock and it makes contact with the dock, it actually pins the work hand's head between the dock and the ferry, and his eye gets damaged. It's all bloody and it's bulging out, and he just starts screaming, and they pull him out of the water, and he's like thrashing his arms, and he's screaming, and everybody's freaking out, and they get to the shore, and the sheriff's there, and so the sheriff asks Muffy if he can take her boat, and he takes her boat, and he takes the ferryman's work hand to the hospital so he can get medical treatment because he's got this bulging eye. And so they go off, and then Muffy takes her friends in a couple of different vehicles, and they go and they head off onto the house because it's not right at the shore, it's a few miles offshore. Okay, so they get to the house. Buck. Buck is the work hand's name. So they go and take Buck to the hospital. And the others load up in the vehicle to go to the house. Okay. They get to the house. Chaz says, "Burn my bags. I'm home." Gets in the house. You ever went somewhere to where you thought it was so great to where you like, I don't even need to go anywhere else ever. I'm just going to stay right here.
No, I'm always slightly uncomfortable everywhere I go, even in my own home. So, I hate to be that way. It's just, especially when we're renting, I'm just I've moved so much in my life, though. I'm just sort of like, until we get our own place, I never feel that way. Let's just put it that way.
Everyone is impressed by the magnitude of the house. Like, this is just, it's a big house, has a lot of rooms, it's fancy, you know, it's all done up. It's impressive. So everybody is just taken aback by this house.
I mean, it's a nice house.
Muffy had the dining room set with a place for everyone with fine china.
Including sporks.
Right, including sporks. And a Barbie or a Ken doll at each place setting, dressed in a distinctive outfit for each individual person.
That's not scary. What does this mean, Muffy? What does this mean?
It's a little creepy, if you ask me. But anyway, everyone explores the house and grounds. Hal finds some stogies in the study. Everyone goes to sit down at the table. Nan sits down and a huge fart sound happens. Everybody laughs at her. And then she pulls out the whoopee cushion.
Yeah, I never thought whoopee cushions were very funny to begin with. And like, how'd you not feel that? You have to put it like underneath the cushion,
right,
to make it really work. I mean,
how would you not see it? Because you have to have that little strip for the air to come out.
Yeah, unless you're just like
sticking out.
Yeah.
You can't have that part unexposed. Unless you just really are not paying attention.
Or unless you have small children and they get one and you just sort of play along.
Right.
Yeah. And now they have those automatic refillable whoopee cushions.
Well, they all made a giant joke of it because the funny thing is they were having hot dogs and beans.
Yes, like I said, no expense. You know, they were upper class hot dogs and beans.
Right. They were name brand Beans and Franks.
Mm-hmm.
On name brand Fine China and Sporks.
And Sporks.
That's right.
Now,
only the best.
Honestly, I thought Sporks came a lot later than in the 80s. Like, because I didn't remember seeing a lot of Sporks growing up until like about mid-2000.
Well, maybe they were made then. They just were not as readily available.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
The finer points of Sporks.
So Nan makes a toast and she says, someone once told her, cherish the friends you have in college because they will be the friends you have for life. When everyone drank for the toast, the champagne ran down their chin and their chest. Muffy says, April Fools.
You have a drinking problem now. Ha 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 ha.
So they had champagne with hot dogs and beans.
Yes.
That's the weirdest combination I've ever heard of.
What, you've never been so rich where you thought hot dogs and beans and champagne sound like a great combination?
No.
That's called as a redneck fancy dinner there.
Mm-hmm. So when everyone goes to their rooms, they find different things that affect them differently in their rooms. Hal finds disturbing newspaper clippings in his room. One is hung up in the closet. A couple are taped in the dresser drawers.
Weren't they talking about like a car crash or something like that?
They were accidents, yeah. He is putting his clothes away, smoking a cigar, and he finds these. As he's smoking his cigar, it actually blows up in his face, so I guess it's one of those trick deals. Nikki finds sexual restraint devices and BDSM gear in her room. And a couple of times during this film, the jokester, Arch, it seems like every time he goes to sit in a seat, the legs end up buckling under, and he ends up getting knocked off in the floor.
No. I mean, it's a trick chair.
Yeah.
So every time he sits back, it creates the releasing mechanism where the two back legs will
Buckle under.
Yeah, it'd trigger a lock off the hinge, and then it would collapse that way. So if you're sitting it forward, it won't do it. But if he's laying back in your chair, you'll release the mechanism.
Yeah. Well, his chair at the dining room table did that. And then the room she gave him, he goes in there when everybody goes to their room just to relax after dinner. He goes in there to read magazines, and he sits in the chair and it did the same thing. So it's like...
Yeah.
Poor guy can't sit down anywhere. He goes to leave his room, Arch does, and the handle on his bedroom door on the inside broke off in his hand. Nan gets out of the shower and hears a baby crying. A tape is playing in her bedroom closet of a baby crying. Muffy turns lights off downstairs and picks up some of the dolls. Kit and Arch go to bed. No, it's not Kit and Arch. It's Kit and Rob. Kit and Rob go to bed and go to switch off the lights. They turn off one. They flip one switch and it's like another one comes on.
Yep.
They flip the switch that you would think would go to just the main bedroom light, and then the lamp beside the bed would come on. So they switched that one off, and then the light across the room would come on. And they switched that one off, and then the main light would come on. So they just switched it off, and then the lamp by the bed was on, so he just unscrewed the bulb in order to get it to go off. Arch goes up to Muffy to see if he can maybe sleep with her that night. And,
I thought you were going to call it something clever, like he's going to see what her muff on Muffy would be like.
Aww.
Oh.
But he gets rejected. Poor Arch.
Back to the clip magazines.
So he goes to bed alone and gets flipped out of the chair, poor guy, while reading a magazine. Nikki and Chaz were in Nikki's room, all tied up in a pretzel together.
It was really, really awkward.
Yeah, that scene was so awkward. It's like you don't know where one begins and the other one ends, and it's just like
No, you're just trying to figure out like how it does even work. Because he looks like he's struggling. He's trying to grab onto things, and it's like this is awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks awkward. Skip goes down to the boathouse. A cat jumps out at him, and you see hands grabbing at him, and you're not quite sure what's going on. Then it's morning, and Nikki is stretching out the window, half naked.
Well, it was the coat or the shirt she was wearing was strategically over her chest. You didn't see anything.
No, but then she acted all shy when Hal said, "Hey, good morning," and he thought she thought he may have seen something, and then you're like, "You're the one that's halfway out the window, half naked."
Yeah. Whatever.
Some people. What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
So, Muffy is acting strange this morning, and the others are outside enjoying the beautiful weather. Everybody comes downstairs, and Muffy is cooking something, and then she just all of a sudden freaks out and decides she has to go upstairs and change because she doesn't look presentable. But it was just how she acted. She kind of acted like they surprised her, and she just really quickly ran upstairs and pushed past everybody and just started acting really strange. Everyone except for Nan is enjoying the weather. She's got her head in books again, so... Well, I guess she gets bored and she goes off to see what Muffy's doing. She starts walking and following her. Rob and Kit go to the boathouse. And while they're making out, Kit sees a body float by under the boathouse.
And nothing says a little sexy time without a dead body.
And the body looks a lot like Skip.
And he sees it through the floorboards. And he's looking up and he's like, "You go get some." In his dead eyes.
Arch, Rob, and Chaz go back to the boathouse to check it out. Muffy's in the kitchen.
Looking at disheveled.
Nan corners her and questions her about the tape of the crying baby left in her room.
And she was just saying that she was just playing Baby Crying Classics Volume 1. I thought she would enjoy it. I just got it off the TV.
Arch walks the woods looking for Skip. He almost gets bitten by a snake.
Yeah, because, well, he gets ensnared by a snare trap. Am I jumping ahead again?
No, he gets caught by a foot trap, yeah.
And then, so he's swinging and the snake is like trying to bite his face.
Nan sits in the garden alone, upset and crying. Rob returns without Arch. Still no sign of Skip.
Where is Skip?
Skip to Maloo. Where did he go? Rob tries to phone the constable. Kit and Muffy decide to make tea to help everyone calm down. But there's no water. So Nikki and Hal offer to go to get water from the well. Muffy says Skip and Arch, well, they're probably just playing one of their pranks. You know, they're going to jump out and say, "Gotcha, any minute now." She's not worried at all. Nikki and Hal go to the well. The bucket falls inside because the rope is dry rotted.
And Hal's yelling. He's like, "How can a fool miss it?" And she's like, "Well, you're the fool." Blah, 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 blah.
Nikki drops her flashlight inside, so she decides to climb inside.
Nothing bad will ever happen if you climb down, into a well.
There's little rungs inside the well, so she climbs down inside it.
Like nothing will bad ever happen.
Well, inside there appears to be a body and 2 heads.
I don't think that water's any good anymore.
They get Nikki out of the well and back to the house. The constable calls and tells them to stay inside. He will signal them when he gets there with a flare. To stay together and wait for him. Kit notices a picture of 2 children that appear to be twins in the study. Muffy comes in and tells her something. That sometimes with the tide, it takes someone all night to get in from the mainland. And sometimes they never make it. Hal gets a gun from his bag. Everyone is talking about how Muffy is acting weird.
Weird? Muffy's acting weird.
Muffy walks in the room as they are talking about her. She says she's going upstairs. Nikki and Chaz go upstairs. Kit and Rob try to get into the attic. Hal hangs out on the stairs. Nikki packs her bags because she is over all of this and these people are all dead. She is ready to go. She's changing her clothes and packing her bag, and Chaz is joking with her and trying to get her to lighten up. She puts her he puts on the BDSM masks to try to get her, to joke around and try to get her to
loosen up.
Yeah, not be so uptight about everything. Nikki leaves the room to get her clothes from the dryer that got wet from, dropping in the well. She comes back and he is laying on the bed with his hands on his private area. She smacks his hand out of the way and a pool of blood forms.
Well, she's like playing around with him, going like, "Oh, what are you trying to do? Play I show you, you show me game, or what?" It was just this weird banter.
I show you mine, you show me yours.
Yeah. What up?
You mimicking me? Don't you mimic me?
You mimic me. You did.
I said first. So yeah. Then she realized something was not quite right. The door creaks and someone appears. Rob and Kit go to the attic. Rob tells her that the constable said not to leave anyone alone with Muffy. They find the dolls from the dining table, posed how they were found in the well. How the bodies were found in the well. They see the flash of the flare gun. They run down the stairs and get the others. The doorknob in Arch's room comes off. They go in Nikki's room and find Nikki and Chaz. And everything is covered in blood. Hal is hung up in Muffy's room. They go out to the dock. My pages are sticking together. To find the constable. They pull the boat in. There is no key. They find a letter. It's from a mental hospital about Mrs. St. John, who was a mental patient for 3 years and is dangerous. Rob says they have to go back in and get the key. They go in through the basement window. They see a trail of blood. They open the furnace to find Muffy's clothing. They found markings on the wall, Muffy and Buffy. Buffy nails the window shut. They go upstairs and frantically search for the boat keys. They get separated. Buffy corners Kit with a big knife. Kit flings open the seating room doors and everyone is sitting there.
And surprise! M. Night Shyamalan's there going, ha 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 ha.
Everyone else is sitting in there just doing things to kind of occupy themselves. They look up at her and laugh and say, April Fools! She screams at them. Muffy shows her the knife is fake. Rob is unaware. The boat hand walks up to him with his eye hanging out, pulls off the prosthetic eye makeup, and slaps it on Rob's face. Rob screams and runs into the sitting room where everyone else is. Muffy tells them they are terrific and they were the best and are good sports. She is going to get the house. Again, my pages are sticky.
And then she goes through like this roll call of who's who played what, the sort of the whole reasoning behind it. And the reason was that she was trying to open up some she was thinking about opening up some Clue house, basically.
Well, she's getting the house as a part of her inheritance, but she had to prove to her father that she could financially support the house because it's a big house. Yeah. Financially, it's a burden. So she decided to turn it into an inn, but not just a regular stuffy country inn.
Yeah, like a murder mansion type inn. Murder mystery type thing. And, so that's the end of that. And,
So she decided to do that. And basically she invited her friends to come down as
the guinea pigs.
A test.
The guinea pigs.
A test for the murder type mansion. And, so she hands everybody out a bottle of champagne, and they get drunk and do weird things with the mannequin heads.
There's human pretzels and other unspeakable acts done with inanimate objects.
Yeah, they do weird things with the mannequin heads. And, the last scene is Muffy went up to her room. She pulled down the noose that was hanging in her room. There is a gift on her bed. She opens it. It's a Jack-in-the-Box. She winds it up and gets all the way to the point to where it's going to pop out. She sits it to the side. She goes to pick it back up again. Someone comes up behind her. They go to cut her throat. She screams. But then she realizes it's Nan. Nan kisses her on the cheek and says, April Fools, and then shows her the knife. It's a fake knife. It had sprayed blood on her neck, and that's the end of it. So
yeah, she has some weird phobia with pop-up toys, because it showed that she won't actually finish it. She would just stop it because she had some traumatic event in her childhood or something.
Yeah, when she was little, I guess
somebody replaced.
She had a huge birthday party and she had got one of those toys, but I guess her brother had replaced one that was supposed to be like a clown or something with
a monster,
an alien monster or something.
Yeah, so
to be mean.
So rating time. Ratings. So, I actually give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree.
It's suspenseful, keeps you going. It draws you in. You're interested in the entire thing. The ending is okay. I really like the credit song at the end of it.
The song at the end is pretty hilarious.
But the issue with this movie is once you've seen it, you've seen it. The only thing that you try to do when you rewatch it again is trying to figure out how little things happen. Like my biggest question was, how did he put on that makeup, the eye makeup, when he was in water? You know, the
prosthetic.
Yeah, because that seems like at that time, even now, I think that would be relatively hard to slap that on as quickly as it happened.
Well, he was under the cover of all of that.
The
the question for me would be, where was it at for him to get it to put it on?
Yeah, there's that too.
Because you wouldn't be able to put it in like your
Unless
pocket or something.
Well, maybe.
It would be covered in lint.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just like there's like little things like
you would have to have glue on it for it to stick that way.
And there's like little things here and there you just you're trying to piece together, which really don't piece very.
And maybe that's why he acted so frantically, because you would have to act that crazy for people not to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if he wasn't acting so frantically, people would be like, "Stop! Let me look at it. Let me."
Yeah, and then the whole thing would be, and then
because he went bonkers.
And then I feel like there is more backstory to the college kids that they could have, like if Hale was part, I think everything was tailored to them in some way. Each of the pranks. I mean, you wouldn't have a strong reaction if let's say you didn't have a child or had an abortion or whatever, and you hear a baby crying. I feel like if they would give a little bit, like Hale, and like, I would be like, why are there clippings of car crashes in my room? That's odd. Okay. If you weren't involved in some sort of car wreck.
Right. And none of that was really explained. Like, he didn't even say... He could have had a couple of lines simply saying, well, I remember the car crash I had, or, he didn't even have any lines.
Or he lost a friend in one.
He didn't even have any lines to really explain that. He just kind of stared at him, so...
And it's the same with, like, the crying baby thing, it was like...
She talked about that, though. She had an abortion.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, she did mention that.
I must have missed it. But, I mean, like, there's just, like, little ones, like the snake thing. Like, that doesn't make that type of snake being there either. That, with that region of the weather type thing. I don't know. And did he have a phobia of being snaked?
The snake was an accident.
Okay.
It mentioned that at the end. She said, "I'm sorry about the snake." That was an accident.
Okay. Again, I think little things here and there, like I always do. But
sorry.
Yeah. All right.
The trivia. This is one of the 3 horror films to take place on April Fool's Day, the others being Killer Party and Slaughter High. So there's that. The cast assembled at the Hotel Vancouver just prior to filming and began hanging out to build a rapport and hone their characters to make it more believable that they were all actually friends. And number 3, at the beginning of the film, Griffin O'Neill's Skip character is blamed for a prank turned accident, which leaves a ferryman disfigured.
Yep. So that's the end of this movie.
There may have been more trivia than that, but that's all I wrote down. So, but this is actually a good one. It is an older film, but...
And if you're a big fan, one of the bigger issues I had with this film was that the guy who played Biff in Back to the Future, he plays one of the main characters. So it's sort of hard to... And he seems like he is that Biff character. That is his character.
Well, he's not as much of a jerk in this film as he was then.
Yeah.
But he still plays a similar role, so I do get what you're saying. But he's not as big of a jerk in this film as he was in that one.
Yeah. That was sort of like the only thing that I had a problem with within the movie. And then like little things we talked about. So, overall, it's a good film. I would check it out. We found it on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
All right. So we will be doing our next film, playing a little catch up. The next film is the 13th Friday. So catch us on that one.
We do apologize that it's taken us so long to get this month's films out. I've been quite ill, so it's taking a bit for us to get everything caught up.
Yeah, this month has been. We get these where we have everything planned out, and then something just goes haywire, and it's a domino effect. And we try to be on time, but things just don't happen the way that we want it to happen, and man, that's life. So we're hoping to get better. We're starting to get better. So maybe in a few years we'll finally get it on the nail on the head type thing. So thanks for your listen. Oh, remember to check out our merch store on Redbubble. We also do have a Patreon. I don't know what else. Buy our merch, I guess. I don't know. Anything else you want to add? Nope. All right. We'll catch you later.
Scare you later.
Bye.